Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Eloise. I hope everyone is doing great. So tonight we have some sampling. I have some samples here from the House of Guerlain. All of these are from their L'art La Matiére line of fragrances. And if you guys have been watching my videos lately, I feel like I've been really into some of the designer lines like the Dior Privé, the Chanel Les Exclusifs. I'm really a fan of the Chanel fragrances. And I've been delving into the Guerlains as well. I actually got at least one of these based on some of the comments that you guys have left on some of the videos. And I have two other ones from Guerlain. One is Fève Gourmand and the other one is Tonka Imperial, which is discontinued. And I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that Fève Gourmand was released as sort of a replacement for Tonka Imperial. But here we have three, and they're all really different actually. One is Neroli Plein, which is a Neroli fragrance. The other one is Musc Outreblanc, which is a musky fragrance. And then the third one is Oud Nude, which a few of you commented that you were a fan of the fragrance. So I picked up a sample of that one as well. So I have tested these on skin, so they're not first impressions, and I actually have them on skin right now. I have Neroli Plein on my right, and here is Oud Nude, and then Musc Outreblanc is on my arm. Yeah, so we're going to talk about what I think about these fragrances, and I'm going to dab them on skin again just to get the opening and a fresh sort of perspective. So this one is Neroli Plein, and it's a Neroli orange blossom fragrance. It's really quite nice. You have to be a Neroli fan to like this fragrance for sure. Neroli fragrances, it's one of those style of fragrances that kind of goes like in that clean, soapy direction. And this one, when I first put it on skin a couple of days ago, I was a little put off because I was sort of thinking that it smelled like a man's cologne, like a very, very clean cologne style, like aftershave. It was giving me sort of like a masculine vibe in a way. But what's a little different about this one is the way the spices kind of interplay with the Neroli. It kind of takes away from that clean, soapy aspect. There's cinnamon and there's clove and there's turmeric in here and there's ginger. So it's a little bit like bright and sort of zingy in the opening. But I feel like the spices definitely play a role, and they are like the counterpart to that clean Neroli sort of scent profile. But when this dries down, I've had it on skin, I've tested this before. When this dries down, it goes into that clean, soapy territory. Guerlain has that other Neroli fragrance that I spoke about in a video, Neroli Outre Noir. It has the tea note in there that was sort of putting me off. But if I had to compare this one to Neroli Outre Noir, I would prefer the other fragrance over this one. This is a different scent profile. This is like summer in a bottle. It's clean. Yes, there are some spices, but it's the clean, soapy Neroli that sort of gives me like a summer vibe. It's giving me the image of like a dark, juicy orange. That's what comes to mind when I smell this. I get this image of a dark orange. And I think it's a perfect summer fragrance. And it's sort of in the category of Serge Lutens' Neroli fragrance, Fleur d'Orange, which is a straight up Neroli fragrance. On my skin, this goes clean, soapy. I used to love wearing this fragrance. I haven't really reached for this one in a while, but I did put a good dent in this. I purchased this as a full bottle years ago, and I'll never sell this. Even though on eBay people are making so much money on these OG bottles, I can't sell this one. This has a special place in my fragrance journey, And the House of Serge Lutens actually has a special place, but that's in another video. So Neroli Plein Oud, in my opinion, is kind of in this scent profile, but it is a little bit different. It does have the spices, it has a little zing. And the spices take it down a little bit. It takes down that soapiness a couple of notches, but nonetheless, I still feel like it's a straight up Neroli fragrance. So for the Neroli lovers, you might want to try this one. I'm not sure that this one is a fragrance that I would get a full bottle of. I said in my other video that I'm really in love with Les Innombrables Orange Sirocco. Even though it's a simple fragrance, this one might have a little bit more going on. There's something about that one that I really, really like the way it's done. I'm really in love with that fragrance. This one is nice, but you have to love Neroli. For the Neroli lovers, you might want to try Neroli Plein Oud. So let's go to Musc Outreblanc. And by the way, Neroli Plein Oud is a 2024 release, so that was just released in 2024, and the nose behind that fragrance is Delphine Jelk. The nose behind this musk, Musc Outreblanc, is also Delphine Jelk. This one is a 2022 release. So this one, in my opinion, is a very simple musky fragrance. This gives me like clean linen, clean laundry vibes, but it's not one of those clean musky fragrances that go powdery. It's a very white fragrance. It's a very translucent, transparent fragrance. It's giving me the vibe of something white and cold almost, and cloud-like. There are hints of florals, just a little hint. Even though there's rose and iris in here, the florals are really not dense and at the forefront. They're just hinted at. And any of the notes in here, like sandalwood or the neroli or the floral notes, they're just really not so obvious because it comes off like this white, clean, musky fragrance that makes you think of clean linens, like fresh laundry. And there's something that's almost hinting at like an ambergris, but not a true ambergris that has any sort of animalic aspect to it. It's just a very clean fragrance. There's nothing really animalic to it. So if there's supposed to be any sort of animalic aspect to this musky fragrance, it's done in a way that's really easy to wear. So it's not the type of ambergris that would be in some of the Les Innombrables fragrances. It's just not that. This is just done in Guerlain style, and it's done in a way that it's easy to wear. So it's a little too linear to my nose. This is not the kind of musky fragrance that I personally enjoy wearing. So I have Musc Chamal from Armani Privé, just as an example of the type of musky fragrance that I personally enjoy. So this one is definitely a clean, musky fragrance that has that like white tonality to it as well, but it comes off more a little bit like floral, and it comes off a little denser and a little bit like that baby powder type of musky fragrance, and I'm a big fan of that. So I like Musc Chamal a lot, actually. I have a few fragrances from Armani Privé. This one I'm not really finding too interesting. I feel like the notes come off like watery behind this white musk, this white clean linen musk, and there's nothing super exciting about the fragrance. So I'm not sure that I would go for a full bottle of it, since I have fragrances like Musc Chamal, and I also have Fleur de Peau. I have a few musky fragrances that I enjoy. I'm not sure that Musc Outreblanc would be something that would replace any of those fragrances. So that's just my take on that one. But if you like musky fragrances, something very simple that's not powdery, that's more musky, that doesn't go into that powdery direction, you might want to give Oud Outreblanc a try. So the last one here is Oud Nude. This one is also a 2022 release, and the nose behind this one is Delphine Jelk as well. This was part of a trio that Guerlain came out with, Oud Cherry, Oud Nude, and a third oud fragrance that I am not recalling the name right now. But These are all 2022 releases. And I think Oud Nude has a lot of fans. And I've tried this a few times. And I'm not sure what I think about this one. So this is supposed to be, I guess, a raspberry oud fragrance. So there's almonds, there's oud, there's raspberry. There are also some woody notes. There's Atlas cedar, there's sandalwood, there's rose and bourbon vanilla. So there's a lot going on here, and I'll tell you what I get from this fragrance. I feel that this comes off almost like a gourmand. The raspberry is at the forefront. There's so much of the raspberry in this fragrance. Sometimes I almost feel like I'm smelling cherry, but that could be because the almond sometimes comes off like cherry. And any oud in this fragrance is overshadowed by the raspberry, in my opinion. And there's a lot of sweetness. I'm not sure that this is what I envision a Guerlain fragrance to be. It's just not part of the Spiritus du Bleveny, Cuir Beluga, Bois d'Harmonie sort of fragrances that I love from this house. This actually reminds me of some of the fragrances from Maison Crivelli, how Iris Melican is this sweet fragrance that does iris with the leather. And they have these really drastic, contrasting notes and fragrances. And they're sweet. I think they're on the sweeter side. But the one that it's really reminding me of, not that it smells like it, but the style is Maison Crivelli's Tuberose Criminal. The way the leather and the tuberose, and it's like kind of contrasting. I feel like the same idea is going on here with this raspberry and the oud. And I'm not sure that the oud is coming off like a real oud, but I feel like the raspberry is overpowering any oud in here. And there's almost like a cherry vibe coming through because either the raspberry is coming off like cherry or the almond is coming off like cherry. But the oud is overshadowed, whatever oud is in here, but it kind of peeks through, kind of, I guess, is contrasting this raspberry note, but it's mostly coming off like a sweet, fruity fragrance to my nose with these hints of like a woody, I guess, what is supposed to be like oud, like woody aspects that contrast the fruity aspects in the fragrance, but it's sweet. So it's a fruity, sweet / woody fragrance. I feel like it's a little different from a lot of the fragrances in the L'art La Matiére line of fragrances for this house. I can't think of another fragrance that's like this, but if you guys can think of one, maybe you can let me know in the comments. So I'm not sure what I think about this one. I think I'm more a fan of the other Guerlain fragrances, like their classic vanillas, like the Cuir Beluga and the Spiritus du Bleveny and the Angelique Noir. I know they're very different from something like Oud Nude, obviously, but I'm not crazy about this style of fragrance here with this Oud Nude. It's just not my style. Now the Neroli fragrance, if you're a fan of Neroli, this one is nice for the scent profile that it is. It's done nicely. The Musc Outreblanc, I'm not sure that I'm a fan of either. And Oud Nude is too sweet and too much raspberry in my opinion, but I could see how if you like sweet fragrances, you could appreciate this one. You have to like sweet, fruity fragrances to like Oud Nude. So that is my take on these 3 Guerlain fragrances. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, if you've tested these out, if you own these. And as always, thank you so much for watching and all your great comments. Until next time, bye guys.